ground control to Major Tom.
Who is Bonnie Jean Dunbar? An astronaut? A teacher? Yes. But more than that, she is proof that if you work hard enough, dreams really do come true.
Bonnie Dunbar did something truly extraordinary. She was the world's first astrocosmonaut, which means that she flew for both America and Russia, even before any man. Now that's truly out of this world. Let's learn a bit more about Bonnie Dunbar and her story.
Bonnie Dunbar did something incredible. She broke the barrier.
Bonnie Dunbar was born on March 3, 1949 to Robert and Ethel Dunbar. She grew up on a small ranch in Outlook, a tiny town in Washington. Even as a child, Bonnie was entranced by the sky. At night, she lay on the haystacks and stared up at the stars. When she was 8 years old, she went outside with her family and looked up into the sky, trying to see the newly launched Sputnik satellite and hear the beeping on the radio. When she saw the technological marvels at the 1962 World's Fair in Seattle, she knew her fate was sealed. Bonnie Jean Dunbar was going to be an astronaut. As she grew up, her love of space did not falter. Bonnie Dunbar went to high school in Sunnyside, Washington, where she studied math and science, essential subjects if you were going to become an astronaut.
Although this place has changed a lot since Bonnie Dunbar went here, this is still the same school that fueled her first interests in math and science.
When she graduated from high school in 1967, Bonnie Dunbar immediately applied to work at NASA. However, they replied back to her that she first needed a college degree. Soon, she earned a grant that allowed her to go to college at the University of Washington, majoring in ceramic engineering. She was the first person in her family ever to go to college.
My mother was one of 9 children raised on a sheep ranch in northern Montana, Havre, Montana. Her dad died when she was 16, so all the children that were 16 and over had to go to work, and so she couldn't go on to school, but she loved school. I bring this up because my parents were self-educated. School is really, really important. And when you can't have a school, and my parents weren't able to go to school, then, wanting to learn is important. So my parents felt that education was extremely important.
If this were a storybook, you know what would come next. Bonnie Dunbar would apply to NASA again, and they would accept her immediately. She would fly through her training with no effort, and soon she would become the best astronaut in the world, conducting world-shaking research high in the sky among the stars she dreamed of as a child. However, this is no Cinderella story. In reality, Bonnie Dunbar had to fight against many barriers that were placed against children in lower-income families. After graduating with honors, she was forced to work in a linen supply company in Seattle due to the scarcity of engineering jobs. Soon afterward, however, she began to work at Boeing before returning to the University of Washington to get her master's degree. She was the first woman in that graduate program. But still, even then, she had to do more before she could achieve her dream. After working for Rockwell International for 8 years, she learned that she would never be accepted as an astronaut unless she got a doctorate degree. Many other people would give up under all these barriers. Only a true hero could keep going and achieve her dream, and Bonnie Dunbar was just such a hero. She went to school again, this time at the University of Houston, and got her doctorate degree in mechanical and biomedical engineering. At the same time, she kept on working. Every moment brought her closer to success. Her new job was at the Lyndon B. Johnson Space Center, just miles away from the NASA Mission Control Center. Her destiny was fast approaching. In 1981, Bonnie Dunbar became a NASA employee, one of the second class of shuttle astronauts. She flew her first mission on October 30th, 1985. She was in space for over 7 days. Dunbar had become an astronaut in the midst of the Cold War. It was a tough era for American astronauts. America had won the space race, but the war was not over. Tensions between the United States and the Soviet Union were high, and President Ronald Reagan was desperate to end the Cold War. The need to understand the universe around us was more urgent than ever. Bonnie Dunbar's first flight was extraordinary in many ways. At 8 participating astronauts, it was the largest crew to have ever left Earth. These astronauts performed over 75 experiments on the trip, but sorrow soon followed. Less than 3 months later, on a different mission, the same ship, the Challenger, exploded almost immediately after it launched, killing the entire crew. That same year, James Muller, Bonnie's mentor and teacher, died, as did her brother Gary. It was a hard time for her, but she kept going. She had achieved her dream, but now she would go on to help relieve the tensions caused by the Cold War. 4 years later, Bonnie Dunbar returned to space. She was a part of the STS-32 Columbia trip of the 9th of January in 1990. 2 years after that, she was a part of the STS-50 Columbia trip. Then, in 1994, she did something incredible. Again, she agreed to go to Russia and train for a flight as a part of an attempt to ease the relations between the two countries. As she trained with Russia at the Gagarin Cosmonaut Training Center, she met some wonderful people. However, there were issues as well. Many of her Russian colleagues treated her, and women in general, as inferior beings, commenting inessentially on her looks and telling her bad jokes. Besides this, Bonnie and Norman Thagard, her American training partner, had a rocky relationship, but she was able to dismiss these insults and get back to business. After training, she was a part of the first docking of the Mir space station. She went up with an American-Russian split crew. By 1995, the Cold War was over, but the relationship between the two countries was tense. However, this mission symbolized a new beginning. After 50 years of hatred and resentment, America and Russia were collaborating once more. Bonnie Dunbar's last flight was on January 22, 1998. She was 49 years old, but her love of space had not diminished. She worked at NASA for 7 more years before moving into Seattle, where she became the president and chief executive officer of the Museum of Flight. She is now living and working in Texas, where she is an aerospace engineering professor at Texas A&M University. Bonnie Jean Dunbar broke many barriers in her life. Despite her rural upbringing, she grew up to become an important and influential astronaut. She also brought 2 enemy countries closer during her months in Russia. Now, she has returned to teaching students to do the same work that she loves so much. Bonnie Dunbar is living proof that with a strong mind and a strong heart, dreams really do come true.
Who is Bonnie Jean Dunbar? She's a little girl who dreamed of the stars. She is a young woman who worked hard to go to college. She is an astronaut who united countries at war. She is a hero, the hero of her story. She knew that she could achieve her dreams, and no one could stop her. No barrier was too large for her to break. This is what a true hero looks like. It looks like Bonnie Dunbar, the space legend.
Ground control to Major Tom. Ground control to Major Tom. Take your protein pills and put your helmet on. 10. Ground control to Major Tom. 8, 7, 6. Commencing countdown, engines on. 3, 2. Check ignition and may God's love be with you.